Do you want to become a talk show host? Do you have a great idea? Passionate World Talk Radio is currently looking for podcast hosts for our Internet Talk radio station. Please email us at pwtrnetworkllc@gmail.com with your name, email address, cell phone number, and podcast topic. In return, you will receive a 3-minute intro on air to a live audience about your podcast. Remember, just email us your name, email address, and your podcast topic, and in return, you will receive a free 3-minute intro on the air. How cool is that? Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain.
Hello and welcome. My name is Sheila Wilson and I am a nurse. I am also the president to Stop Healthcare Violence and a host on Passionate World Talk Radio. Today I will be interviewing a woman that has been working in a hospital setting when she was assaulted. We have a disclaimer here, and it's the opinions of the guest may not represent the views of the host or the station. So let me introduce her. She is here to tell you her story. Her name is Kim. And hello, Kim. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
And tell me what's happening. What happened to you? We saw your picture, and that didn't look very good.
No, it all started on October 28th, 2019. I was working on a behavioral health floor, and I was talking to 2 patients and 2 other staff members, and we were just talking, and then I was going to walk into the nurse's station to get a cup of coffee. As I was walking into the nurse's station, all I remember was swiping my badge and about to open the door, and just a big bang and blackness. And I woke up on the ground, and all I could hear was scuffling and pain in my eye.
Oh, my God.
So
what was the big bang?
So that's how I got injured. That's what I felt. So how the injury was and the backstory was, the male patient, there were signs and everything that this male patient was going to go off. The staff laughed it off. This patient was told they were going to go get discharged. Nothing happened. I found out basically through time, because it's now 2021, that the hospital covered it up. I tried to press charges because the hospital did what they did. The patient could not get press charged on. And I don't hate the patient at all. I don't blame him at all. It's the healthcare. But that's with the hospital, because from this day, they still don't have procedures or anything about what happened to me.
You have, Kim, that big bang that you heard, you have no idea what that was from?
So I did find out that. Sorry, I got off track.
That's all right. That's perfectly fine.
I found out it was his fist. He suckered punched me in the back of the head. And I fell forward, and my head hit the nurse's station. And I was unconscious for about maybe 15 to 30 seconds.
Wow. You sure that's all it was?
As far as I know, no one told me. There is videotape as far as I know, but I was not. I don't want to see it.
Oh.
I do remember waking up to one of the nurses who I did float down, and he woke me up from, the fuzziness when I came from my manicness-ish, because I couldn't see. I guess my left eye hit the doorknob or something.
Oh, my God.
But I had a huge hematoma, and with being in the healthcare, you know all the codes, So
yeah.
when they called the code, I knew exactly what questions they were going to ask me. I knew exactly, what they're going to ask. But in my head, I was in the la-la land.
Right.
I just wanted to go home. I wanted to call now my husband. I want to go home. That's all I wanted. I had no idea what happened. All I got treated for down in the ER was they were trying to get my contact out. They stuck an ice pack on me. I think put Tylenol on me, a CAT scan, a botched IV, and told me to go home and sleep.
So you were allowed to leave?
Yeah.
Well, that was good, but they didn't check to see if maybe you had a concussion after that?
I mean, I don't, that was the process. They were just they asked me questions. I mean, I stayed for maybe a couple hours, and then they released me to my husband and my mom.
Wow.
And then later out, I'm like, okay. But with my injury now, as I look at the pictures, I'm like, they should have gave me a disability form, FMLA, something.
Right.
With that type of injury.
Well, you certainly couldn't go back to work with that, with those eyes that are black and that huge knot on your forehead.
Right. And I was harassed from them trying to come back. I was put on the schedule, on a doctor's note, excused, from them saying not to come back to work. Even the doctor they told me to go see told me, you're fine, go back to work.
The doctor said that. Now, what doctor was that? Your primary care, or was that one of the doctors from
the workman's comp doctor? They told me to go to. They told me I couldn't see my personal doctor. They told me I had to go to the workman's comp doctor.
Mhm. And if you went to your own primary care, would they accept a note saying that you couldn't go back to work?
Nope. They were all in control, and with my head, I was listening to them.
Well, of course you would. This is what happens, and we don't know, what to do. And it's pretty darn scary. I mean, your picture is really scary to think that somebody did that to you. And that bang, if that bang was all that patient did was to kind of hit you on the back of the head and put your head down on the desk, that's really tough.
Yeah,
Did you have more injuries than that? Did you have neck and back injuries?
They didn't do any kind of scans. They didn't do anything. So it's all about how I feel. I have neck injury, I feel neck pain. I feel back pain every day. I have my migraines used to last 24 hours, if that. I'm still recovering from an 8-day migraine I just had.
Wow.
And I can't go to the hospital I work with, at the time, I used to work.
Right.
And I'm finally getting help because now I'm using personal insurance. And I'm like, it's it just, this workman's comp needs to change, because this corporate are and watching by the sidelines of COVID, I felt like a wounded soldier watching my brothers and sisters, and I couldn't help. I felt so useless, and I had to find my own therapy because workman's comp wouldn't return my phone calls. I had to start emailing going, hey, and after like 5 attempts, I had to start copying my therapist in the emails for them to return it, and they still wouldn't.
Yeah, and
it's just a mess.
Do you have any recourse for that? If they don't return any of your emails?
I just had to keep, I tried to ask the hospital, and they just kept saying, call. I mean, I went through like a mental breakdown due to the hospital and workman's comp, because I was forced to resign.
You were forced to resign because you felt you couldn't get back to work?
Yes.
Well, that stinks, doesn't it?
Exactly. I told the doctor that was for the primary care that I didn't want to go back to work until I saw a neurologist.
Right.
Well, that was a hassle, because I had to Google my own neurologist, and all they did was just, a normal psych exam. I wanted a scan of my brain, something, and they wouldn't do anything. I'm like, come on, I need help.
What was their reasoning? Why wouldn't neurology scan you?
All they said is the stupid IEE or something report. A stupid piece of paper they were following. They couldn't touch me because they couldn't give me any medication. They couldn't touch me because they were following what workman's comp was guiding them to do.
Oh. Well, that's another entity that, as you say, probably needs a lot of work. But here you are. You're a healthcare worker in a system that was assaulted, and really, if a lot of people saw that picture, they did be having you doing brain scans and everything else.
Right.
We see all these movies that everybody butt heads, but when you have somebody, and I would imagine this person was very strong, takes you by the back of the head and slams your forehead onto a desk, that's not easy. And that slam causes those eyes to blacken and the forehead to get so big. I mean, I can understand all that from the swelling, and then you were unconscious, and you weren't really being treated for any type of concussion.
As far as I don't know. I mean, all I know is that he just hit me in the back of the head, and then another tech took him down, and then that's all I know. And then 2 patients dragged me away.
Dragged you away to where?
To the so it's kind of hard to describe, because so I was going to a dining area.
Oh.
Because I'm in the middle of a hallway area.
Yeah.
And so the 2 patients I was talking to just dragged my body away while the tech took him away.
I see. So they were bringing you to more of a safer place.
Yes.
So the patient, was there no staff there to help you?
Oh, I was around staff and everything. The patients can walk around and everything.
Yeah, but they had the patients drag you and not the staff.
So I always did groups and everything, and I always told the patients, if they ever saw me, like, getting, like, knocked out or anything, just drag my body. I never want to pass away on that unit. Well, me doing all those groups, I guess they listened, you know, and I will never forget those two patients,
right?
You know, ever. And I carry them with me, and I know they saved my life.
Yeah.
Just like how I saved theirs. And I love that job. I love saving people's lives. And doing those groups and stuff, and to know that they actually listened, that's awesome. But
it
is. I just can't believe they listened.
Well,
but,
those are your rewards.
You know, and just, but yeah, I was surrounded by people, so I don't know how he hit me or anything like that, but even on my medical records for my head, it says fractured skull. But when they discharged me, it says, like, they told me I don't have a fractured skull, because I did question it. And I still don't know, really, because I'm working it with my neurologist right now. Because I can't afford it. I still don't have a job.
Right. But it's a little bizarre. I know medical records do have errors, but to have one that says a fractured skull and then, no, you don't.
Right.
That also is a little bizarre.
I mean, my case is so bizarre and weird and heartbreaking.
That is unbelievable. What about the employees that you worked with? Does anybody ever call you, check on you?
No.
No.
I do reach out to a few, but I did have one that used to be around, but you see people how they are.
Yeah. Now, is the consensus violence is part of your job?
Yeah, it was. They were just like, suck it up.
Yeah. And that is so wrong. You know, I understand in some hospital settings that it's still really going on, that, you know, suck it up, too bad, you should have moved faster. And why do you do this work?
Well, they also told me, because the person, one of the people at the hospital who was harassing me told me to get back on the bike or horse or whatever, you know, who's just constantly calling and harassing me, which is cruel and was just, I don't know, just needed to take like a compassionate course, but told me that I needed to retake on how to de-escalate. Like, this injury was my fault.
Kim, do you know how many nurses feel the same way that you do? And they are home. They can't work. Patients have taken everything away from them. And here you are going through the workman's comp, neurologist, primary care, everything. You're going back and forth all over the place. And where is this patient? Doing exactly what they always did. These are the things that need to change, because no one should be assaulted like that, or at all.
And that's what I've been saying since day one, and I told the hospital that, and I've told the doctors this, and I've told the lawyer this, and I've told my therapist this, and it's not right, and it's not fair. And I know life's not fair and everything, but as healthcare workers, we did not get signed up to get beat up on. We signed up to take care of loved ones. And I understand when you're not in the right mind. I understand that. I've taken care of so many people that beat me up just because they're not in the right mind. And I understand. I know the patient who hit me, I'm not mad at them. I have no anger towards him. I'm mad at the facility. I'm mad at the people, at the fact that I didn't get the right treatment. And I don't have a place in this world where I watched my brothers and sisters in COVID go down. And I had to sit here, feel helpless, and that texts and EVSs, and not just nurses and doctors, and people get away with treating us so badly and think we caused COVID. It's the real issues. We need mental health help too. We watch people die. We are needing help too. I feel so bad for us.
That's what's going on, and it's very, very sad. I feel as though when the patient is at a unit or on a unit, and they have periods of whatever, breakdown for themselves, or periods of like somebody, coming from the war and has post-traumatic stress and thinks they're being ambushed, there should be some sort of way to isolate this person, to make sure, they're being admitted for a reason. And if this continues, there has to be a plan of action, and not a little tiny female that he could pick up and throw across the room. Now, do you have security guards?
Security guys? Only when we called for them. When I told them that we should have security up there, they laughed. And that's when we asked for hazard pay. They laughed.
Unbelievable. So when your security now somebody is getting assaulted, all right? Now we're going to take the spotlight off you. You're working there. You notice a patient is coming unhinged, and you know that something's going to go wrong. So you call the security. What will they do? Will they be there within 30 seconds?
Wait, you cut out.
Oh, okay. So you're there with the patient. You see this, and the patient is becoming unhinged.
Okay.
You're going to pick up the phone to call security. How long will it take security to get to your floor, to your unit, and what will they do?
Well, it kind of depends on how many security guards there are. If it's in dire need, they should have called the code, and depends. Sometimes, one time, no one showed up, and we were on our own. So it just depended on the day and depended on the staff.
So if security does show up, what are they allowed to do? Will they put this person down? Stop the assault?
Yes.
And do they tase them?
No tasings allowed, like no objects or anything. It's only like a shot and hands-on if they can. No physical violence, just like try and restrain them as much as possible.
They're not allowed to restrain them?
I can't remember if as far as I know, they were allowed to help the nursing staff to restrain.
So security is helping the nursing staff to restrain.
Yeah,
so the nurses are still in the way as far as to get assaulted when security comes up.
I can't remember. I think they just changed the policy right before I got injured. I can't remember.
Yeah. Now, a year ago you would have remembered. Or 2 years ago you would have remembered.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So you write that down so you can tell the neurologist that you were asked a question and you're trying really hard to answer and you can't quite remember.
He knows I've been working on my memory and everything.
Oh my God. God love you. This is the type of stuff that should never, ever happen. And we're working on it. 70 to 80% of the healthcare workers in the state of Massachusetts get assaulted. We have a misdemeanor in place that was put in place in 2010. And we have worked very hard, unions and everything else, from 2010 to make it a felony. I believe there's 34 other states that have a felony. I don't know if you know if Arizona has one or any of the other states, Alabama, or if you've studied any of these states.
It's supposed to be a felony.
It is. So,
but since they did what they did, the DA dropped my charges.
He dropped your charges?
Yes, without my permission or anything.
Now that is odd too.
I found out June of 2020.
Why? What was the reason why he dropped your charges?
Because the hospital took back the patient.
They allowed the patient back into the facility.
Yes.
So they could make money.
I have no idea.
That is so. Okay, they took him back, and too bad you got hurt, and the DA dropped it.
Yes.
That is really. As I said before, there are so many nurses out with the same injury, not the same injuries, not at all. I mean, they're all very, very different injuries, but they've all been assaulted by a patient, and they are all fighting the system. And now you're saying that workman's comp is one of the systems that is really giving you a hard time. How do you fight that?
Get a lawyer.
And, of course, you have all the money to do that.
The lawyer I found said the only way she wins is if I win.
Good.
And you have to save everything. You can't, I wouldn't even talk to them, just email.
Wow.
Because they're not going to help you. And if they do, you're lucky. You got a good one.
Yeah. I really feel very bad that all of this is happening to you. And it's very, I can't even imagine being in your shoes right now, trying to do what's right. And I mean, they let you go because you wouldn't come back to work because all you'd have to do is go back to work and do something wrong.
Well, they gave me options, but they weren't the right options. And then they told me what my PTSD were.
Did they tell you you had PTSD?
Well, so they told me I can go back to the unit I was injured on and like nothing happened. I can become a sitter and watch people and don't touch them and sit there and get my doc pay, my hours cut, lose my benefits. Let's see, that was one. Or go to a different department, apply, but not sure if I can actually get another job. So I would have to just roll the dice. And then those were my options. And then that was one lady telling me, and then she went to the head of HR, and then that person was telling me what is and is not my PTSD, because I was afraid of going to HR at that point. And because I refused to go there and said, well, we can call, I can scan documents. I didn't want to go to the office anymore at that point. And I had to get my therapist involved and have her talk to the HR person. And that's when I had my mental breakdown and resigned because they didn't like my resignation before.
Wow. Who diagnosed you with PTSD?
The first neurologist I Googled that I saw. And then the HR person was telling me in the email, well, you came down to the HR office before, so you must not have PTSD.
Don't you find that odd? People just saying these things?
And I got her fired.
Good for you.
Because I went up to corporate.
That's, if any of the corporate or any of the administrators got assaulted, now I'm not even talking about the assault like you had. You had a terrible assault. Do you think that they would be sitting and doing nothing? They would be wild, and they would actually do something about this the violence that's in these units that happen. They accept patients that are really tough to handle, and there's no action in place. Can you lock the rooms of these patients?
Right. They all say they're like, oh, we've been nurses, we've been techs, whatever, but they let the money go to their head. They don't work the shifts. They don't care. They're in it for the money. They're not in it for the care. And that's what the corporations and greed is.
Right. We've been hearing that more and more. And the state of Massachusetts says, I think 4 places that are one on strike and the other ones are picketing, and it's all safe staffing. Have you ever worked short-staffed?
All the time. They said, I've had a 1-to-1 plus 12 other patients I had to do by myself.
That is unheard of. That is absolutely crazy.
Numbers.
Well, that is really bad. You had a 1-to-1, which, can you tell everybody that's listening what a 1-to-1 is?
A 1-to-1 is where a patient has to be arm's length with a staff member. It's like if they're suicidal or homicidal or something, danger to themselves or others. And we just want to make sure they're okay and safe. So what I did at that time, I was like, hey, let's just hang out. And I just let them follow me, around and just watched everyone else. I did my rounds and we watched TV. We had snacks. I just chilled out with them and talked, and I had a great time with them, and did my rounds, and I made it work, and I cared about my patients. I got on their level with them, and they were.
It must be hard. It must be heartbreaking for you to not be able to get back there. But to be on a 1-to-1 and be responsible for 12 other patients, and all that would have to happen is one incident, and it doesn't seem that the people don't understand your coworkers. I'm now not just your coworkers, but a lot of coworkers don't understand the severity of being short-staffed. And it's not just in your unit. It's everywhere. One person could become ill, and it's crazy.
Exactly.
But I have to tell you, Kim, I applaud you, and I think what you're doing is just wonderful. And you're fighting for yourself, and hopefully you'll get the right people to listen to you, because what happened to you is frightening. And do you have any more that you'd like to say?
If any executives out there are listening, we don't like pizza.
That's awesome. Well, there's an awful lot being said about what happened on Nurses' Day.
I haven't even heard of that. I'll Google everything.
Yeah, that's a group of nurses in a hospital got rocks, and they were supposed to paint on them. They didn't get the paint or the brushes. Rocks look nice. I mean, that really got them upset. But all right, we'll let all the executives know that you don't like pizza. But I will say that You like what? Oh, raises?
Raises.
Yeah, that would be nice if you had those as well. But nothing else you'd like to say? Would you like to come back on and tell us an update maybe in a month or so?
Yeah, that would be cool.
And I think you did a great job.
Thank you. And just you guys keep going and just do what you guys need to do and be strong, and y'all got it, If I can survive, you guys can survive, We all got this.
Yeah, we're in it for the patients.
Right? I'm trying.
So I will, you have nothing else to say right now?
Nope, nothing else I know of.
Okay, so let me end, and I will sign off, and I want to thank Lillian Caldwell. She is the CEO of Passionate World Talk Radio, for allowing us to do our talk show, and Jeannie White, station manager, that will be doing all of the blogs and the posting of this show. And I guess I say good night to Kim. Thank you for being on, and I applaud you. And I have to say that what you're doing to allow the public to know what happens and what happens when the hospitals don't really take care of their staff.
Thank you, guys.
You're quite welcome, and thank you for being on.
Do you want to become a talk show host? Do you have a great idea? Passionate World Talk Radio is currently looking for podcast hosts for our Internet Talk radio station. Please email us at pwtrnetworkllc@gmail.com with your name, email address, cell phone number, and podcast topic. In return, you will receive a 3-minute intro on air to a live audience about your podcast. Remember, just email us your name, email address, and your podcast topic, and in return, you will receive a free 3-minute intro on the air. How cool is that? Thank you for listening to Passionate World Talk Radio. You can listen to this program all over again by going over to https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. You can also hear it on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, AMFM247.com every Tuesday evening between 8 and 9 p.m. YouTube, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and all the other podcast directories one can find on the Internet.